mostrare una ricetta magica. My dear friends, I want to show you a magical recipe because after all, in the kitchen is where magic happens. Pasta alla puttanesca, also known as sidewalk Cinderella pasta. Why don't we look at the ingredients and then we'll go into the preparation of this magical dish. Here we are. What we start out with is 4 tablespoons of olive oil, half a cup of pitted Kalamata olives, 4 garlic cloves sliced, a tablespoon of drained capers, a tablespoon of anchovy paste, a quarter teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh parsley, 1 1/4 cup of chicken stock, and 1 cup of tomato sauce. Also, 1 pound of pasta. Here we are. I have the pan here that I've preheated. Let's add the olive oil. And then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Let me do something though before I add the ingredients. There are some capers that I'm going to put aside because I want to show you something quite interesting. The oil is almost hot. I like to add first of all the red pepper flakes for a bit of spice. And then add our garlic, sliced thickly of course. We'll let this cook for a little while until the garlic starts to sizzle, and then we'll put the rest of the ingredients. Now, why did I put these aside? I wanted to show you what capers look like, because do you know what a caper is? The caper is the unopened bud of a flowering plant. The plant itself is called Caparis spinosa. What a name! Of course, it's Italian. No, actually, it's Latin. Caparis spinosa, the name of the plant. The Caparis spinosa plant, the caper plant, grows all over the Mediterranean because the plant has the ability of grow in very hot and dry climates. As a matter of fact, it grows in every nook and cranny, among rocks, on walls, all the way from the south of Italy down to Greece. It's a spectacular plant. Now, the capers, in this particular case, are usually packed in 2 different ways. You can find them packed in brine, or you can find them packed in salt. If you do use, the one that we're using today are the kind that is packed in brine. I know that usually from all the other chefs is not the preferred kind. I tend to like it a lot more because sometimes, not in this particular recipes, but in other recipes, I add a little bit of brine to the dish just to spike it up a little bit. Anyway, if you were to find the kind that's packed in salt, what you want to make sure is that before you use them, you wash them, because all the excess salt around them will make the dish a bit too salty. And there is plenty of salty ingredients. In this particular case, it might turn the dish around. Now, the garlic is starting to sizzle. Let's add the Kalamata olives, the capers, and the anchovy paste, which really didn't want to cooperate, didn't want to go into the dish. Let me move everything around out of the way. There's a very important step now that I want you to see. The anchovy paste was the latest addition. For the anchovy paste to work well in the recipe, we had to move it around. Why is it important that we move the anchovy paste around? We actually want it to melt into the dish. By melting and cooking together with the garlic, with the capers, with the olives, it will create the flavor base that we are looking for. I want to increase the heat a little bit. Now, one thing that I find curious is, do you know, as a matter of fact, that anchovy is a Sicilian word? Yes, a Sicilian dialect, as a matter of fact. Anchovy in Sicilian dialect means salted sardines. I find that amazing that now, here in this country and all over Europe, salted sardines packed in cans are known as anchovies. Some of you might think, why is it that we're using the anchovy paste instead of the regular anchovies, the one that we usually put on pizza? You can use either or. I usually have the anchovy paste because they have a milder flavor, less wild, and many people find it difficult sometimes to appreciate the flavor of the anchovy. So this is almost like a beginner course into the appreciation of this particular dish. And there is a story about this dish. Like every dish that I talk to you about, there's always a story. At this point, my dear friends, believe it or not, we are ready to add the other ingredients. What I look for at this point, and before I do add the other ingredients, is I would like to see the garlic cooked, but not burned. And one of the reasons why we cut the garlic so thick is so that as we cook it, it might crust a bit on the outside, but stay soft and tender on the inside. Here we are, ready with the other ingredients, tomato sauce and chicken stock. like to put half of the parsley at this point. Now, let's move this around. Let's mix it together. I'm going to put the heat on high. What we want to do is to bring the sauce to a boil. Once the sauce reaches the boiling point, we want to reduce the heat, and we would like to simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. It's important that we do that because during those 15-20 minutes, the sauce will reduce in volume almost by half, at least a third. It will get a special, nice, glossy finish to it. All the flavors in this reducing process will enhance the final product that this particular dish has. Remember, this is the type of sauce that has a real explosive flavor, something that just bursts out of the pan and comes at you, very aggressive. It's the kind of dish that I would suggest you do enjoy with a nice glass of red wine. Fantastico. Now let me tell you the story about the pasta alla puttanesca. Pasta alla puttanesca, loosely translated, sidewalk Cinderella, or pasta in the style of the morally decadent woman, which by itself doesn't make too much sense. You see, legend has it, the pasta was developed in the kitchen of the southern coastal bordellos, basically from Rome down. Seeing that in hard economic times, the grand dame of the bordello found that she would exchange for raw commodities, in this case fishes, the pleasure of a ladies' night company. And many fishermen in this particular deal, not finding themselves able to pay with cash, pay with fish, sardines. The woman was so bright and such a capable chef that she found a way of turning the sardines into a magical dish. Therefore, pasta alla puttanesca. Is it true? Is it not? Who knows? But it makes a nice story. Anyway, here we are. Let's bring this to a boil. I want to bring here the cheese, and I want to show you what cheese I rather have in this pasta. Many Italians refuse to have cheese served with anything that has fish. Pasta alla puttanesca tends to be the exception. As far as I'm concerned, you should put cheese anywhere you like, even on pasta with shrimp if you want, because I do. After all, it doesn't matter what the tradition is, it matters what it is that you like. There are several ways in which we can actually grate the cheese. Most people do it on this side. I personally like the cheese grated on this side. It makes this nice, creamy, beautiful, long... you know, the one thing that I totally enjoy when the cheese is grated on this particular side is when it hits the pasta, almost covers it with a blanket. And also, when I was a kid, and I used to do it on the side, when Mama was not watching, I would be at the table, I would pluck it up, eat them. It tasted to me always a lot better this way. So we make enough? We made enough. Let's move this aside. Let's not waste this cheese. This cheese does not go to the seagulls like we've done with other stuff. This stays with us. Now, we don't have time to show you all the way through the proper reduction the sauce will have on this pan, but I have another pan over here that I have preheated and cooked. Let me bring it over here. Let me open this up. Ooh, this water is almost down. Let me add some more hot water to it. Okay. We ready? Let's add the pasta. Vai bella pasta, vai a nuotare. That's what we say. Go beautiful pasta, go and swim. Inspirational. I don't know. Dad used to sing it sometime in the kitchen. Okay, here we are. The pasta's almost ready. Ooh la 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 la. You ready? I'm gonna add it to the sauce now. See, some of the pasta try to escape, but we always catch it, put it back in. Now, it might happen to you sometime when you're making this recipe that you don't have enough sauce. At least you think you don't have enough sauce. What I suggest you do is, if you want to thicken up the sauce, is to add some of the water from the cooking pasta. The water has all of that starch and therefore allows the sauce to thicken up without changing or ruining the flavor. Here, we're almost there. You see how the color is changing with the spaghetti? Look how beautiful. I don't know, it's just pasta, but to me it's like a masterpiece. Then again, I'm making one of my favorite pastas. Let's prepare our dishes here. Always have a beautiful dish to present this pasta in. I want to wait just a couple of minutes longer because I want this to come out exactly the way I like. As you see, it's already changing in color. The sauce is quite thick, and as you can see right here, at this edge of the pan, that is the consistency that we like to get. Let's give it a couple of twists more. Ooh, bella, bella, bella sta pasta, la fine del mondo, eh? The end of the world. In the kitchen, we always say that. But there's something that attaches us to the food that we make. Not just me, but also you at home when you make it for your friends. And something come out looking beautiful. It just makes you proud. That's what you want. Every time, every single day you're in the kitchen, make something that just makes you proud. At this point, we have the cheese. Now remember, I've turned off the heat. If you do the cheese mixture with the heat on, the cheese will stick to the pan and will not mix as well. You don't have to mix it, you can also do without, but choose. I like to do this particular part of the stage. Now, with the parsley that we saved up, decorate the last bit of the pasta. E carissimi amici, la pasta alla puttanesca è pronta. State con noi, stay with us, because what I'm going to show you next is broccoli stracotti, a magical way to transform broccoli into a dish from paradise.